Bachelor's of Science in Biology with honors in both biology and chemistry. She graduated summa cum laude in her 2018. Her interests include medicine and nutrition. She has been a William F. Crumel Foundation Scholar for the past 4 years, so we are just so proud of being a part of her journey. In the fall, Indigo will attend Columbia University to pursue her master's in nutrition, and in 2019, she'll matriculate into the University of Rochester, where she will work in the School of Medicine, study in the School of Medicine. Please join me in welcoming her, thanking her, as she comes to the podium, Miss Indigo A.
A little bit.
All right, how's everybody doing this evening?
All right.
Great. Thank y'all for the congratulations. I really appreciate it. So, good afternoon, scholars, parents, supporters, and leaders of the William F. Crumel Junior Scholarship Foundation. Today, we are gathered to celebrate the achievements and potential of today's scholars and to invest in their future. Today, we're gathered to celebrate their achievements, potential, and to invest in the fruits of our labor in order to support these amazing Black scholars right in front of us, right here. Know that when you rest your eyes on the individuals in the front, you are indeed looking at their future, looking at our future. One that looks like professionalism, excellence, and endless possibilities. So Ms. Myrick already went through the introduction. My name is Indigo Gill, and I'm really honored to have been selected to address you all as the keynote speaker for today. All throughout my experience, I was blessed to have been a William F. Crumel Junior Foundation Scholarship recipient. When my financial aid just wasn't enough, oftentimes it was this scholarship that pulled me through those stressful periods of time. And so I want to sincerely thank Mrs. Crumel, Ms. Myrick, all of the scholarship's leaders and contributors for the work that you do. And I'm really thankful that my mother is right here. So with our utmost appreciation, me and the other scholars here, we thank you all and applaud you for the work that you do. Your funding our higher education is something that none of us will take for granted. So thank you so much. During my journey at Xavier, I studied, I cried, I laughed, I read, I mentored, I made mistakes, and I learned from them. I studied some more and some more. Being biology pre-med, I studied some more. In addition to tutoring, motivating, and traveling across the globe along the way. Those past 4 years will forever be a reminder of my potential and power to actualize my deepest ambitions. Those academic, professional, and personal. I'm not perfect, the journey is far from over, but with the support of family, friends, mentors, and members of this scholarship foundation, I know I'm on the right track towards success in all its forms. That being said, I want to touch on the key list of items that I sought to uphold during my last semesters at Xavier. In order to tackle my junior and senior level science coursework, in order to alleviate my symptoms of both anxiety and sometimes mild depression, in order to be a student leader on my campus, I had to set up some goals that were simple and easy to follow amongst all of that chaos, or what felt like chaos at times. And so as I share these foundational objectives, I challenge us all to incorporate them into our journey towards success and happiness, especially the scholars right in front of me. So here is the list. Be vulnerable, be kind, be intelligent, be confident, and live out your truth. These are the words that got me through the ups and downs of my undergraduate journey, and it is my hope that we all as guests gathering in this space may use them to push us forward into our future endeavors, and even those that feel like they're sometimes out of our arm's length. During my senior year in college, I participated in research abroad, served as a founder and leader of social responsibility on a social responsibility on-campus organization, and juggled my roles as a pre-med student, writing and biology tutor, peer mentor, and the editorial assistant of my university's online research journal. I realized at the beginning of this new year that a change had to take place if I was going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. In previous years at XU, I had pushed myself so hard that I'd be stressed beyond being able to appreciate my engagement and achievements. So in order to make my senior year the best yet, I started off with being vulnerable, both with myself and those friends and family around me that I knew that I could trust. I think that the first step to being successful in any area of life is allowing ourselves to be introspective. All of us among this room have various hopes and dreams. We want to be doctors, lawyers, health administrators, right? Engineers, chefs, entrepreneurs, and the list goes on. With such aspirations in mind, there's no way for us to appreciate that process of attaining these goals if we don't deal with the stuff that's holding us back. For me, I could tell my anxiety was consistently leading me to overthink my blessings. It led me to underestimate my abilities in light of recent achievements. Anxiety on me looked like temporary hive-like welts appearing on my skin whenever I felt overwhelmed. It looked like a falling feeling in my chest that I couldn't always pinpoint what the reason it was there for. And so with my determination to leave those symptoms behind me, I had to think to myself and figure out this issue. For me, the solution was journaling in a hardcover notebook that made my thoughts feel valid. For others, it could appear as discussing these things with people we trust, like our friends and family or professionals that we know. Vulnerability with healing and productivity in mind meant assessing my challenges and ultimately doing so without judging myself or even those that I felt like might have been the source of my anguish. This brings me to the importance of being kind and being being understanding when it comes to reaching our goals. Being vulnerable is about laying down the aspects of our lives that we don't always want to look at. Being kind and understanding, on the other hand, deals more so with accepting ourselves, flaws and all, and even allowing ourselves to forgive those who don't fan our flames, because we have to realize they're only human. Being kind on a personal level in terms of success must involve cherishing the parts of ourselves that we do and don't feel proud about, because they can be the source of our growth into better individuals. And let us not forget that being kind means letting the people who support us, like members of this foundation, letting them know that we appreciate their support in our lives. This step is so important because it may contain the elements that help propel us towards making no excuses in regards to the things that we want to achieve. With this in mind, my most applied objective during this period of my life was to be intentional. It was basically my motto for the last couple of months and even into today. With so much on all of our plates in this fast-paced society, it's easy to resort to just going through the motions, or to even plan our days to oblivion where we're constantly looking towards the future instead of being here and now. In order to make the most of my last semesters at Xavier, I kept in mind the fact that living in the present moment is just as important as preparing for an awesome future. The two go hand in hand in that opportunities noticed and seized today will help us to actualize our future's realities. Therefore, being intentional throughout my journey has taken on the act of becoming a listener who actually hears my mentors, family, and friends, hearing what they have to say instead of thinking about my response to those words. Being intentional looks like pushing past the simple tasks that cause me to feel overwhelmed so that I can get to the stuff that will make me better. And it also takes on the form of my assessing how the resources around me, whether a person, office, or search engine, can help me not reinvent the wheel and make my life easier. Being intentional is about being present, and it has made a huge difference in how I tackle situations, whether they're academic, emotional, or physical. Moving on, I believe that when we become comfortable with being vulnerable, kind, and intentional, we can then move throughout familiar and new spaces with an attitude of confidence that can help us navigate the world to be successful. In journaling and even talking to myself, I always follow writings of vulnerability and insecurity with something that I might have needed to hear from somebody else. We always look to outside sources for validation that our efforts are enough, that we've done something to be proud of. But sometimes we shall have to navigate the world with our own heads held high in the face of adversity. For instance, last summer I pursued a goal of mine to gain more biological research experience and to travel the world. So you can imagine my utter excitement upon being accepted into the Minority Health International Research Training Program, with that site being in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Upon boarding that 12-hour flight to this new land, I was a ball of gratitude, nervousness, and a little bit of self-doubt. Either way, when I got there, I didn't expect people's stares at my black body, hair, American clothes to affect me so much. The research was going just fine. But, you know, in the face of this more homogenous society, I had to deal with, you know, that self-doubt that I felt. Feeling like I was exposed and not always necessarily welcome. And so I had to turn all of that, those negative feelings, into a practice of confidence. Once I realized that how the world saw me was based upon how I saw myself, I knew that I'd be all right. I knew that confidence in what I put my mind to is the only way I could become successful, no matter the challenge in front of me, no matter where I am on this blue and green globe. So with my college journey in mind, I believe that for anyone who wishes to live out their hopes and dreams, one must lastly be committed to living out their truth. It won't happen in a day, or you won't necessarily succeed in always perfectly living out that truth in a day. It might not happen in a year, but it's an objective that can always be strived for. I have interest in nutrition, biology, and medicine, but sometimes Popeye's chicken calls my name. Sometimes I want a biscuit. Sometimes I want the mashed potatoes and gravy. But, you know, I try to remember, what channels do I want to make a change in this world? Why am I going to Columbia for nutrition? Sometimes that $5 box just wins. It wins sometimes. But either way, I can constantly move toward living out my truth academically and personally. And that'll be how I make the journey more enjoyable, more fruitful, more purposeful. Steadily removing the cognitive dissonance between what my beliefs are and what my actions will portray is how I can succeed in that process. On the other hand, trying to maintain lies will always fail us in some way, especially when we're doing it to make others comfortable instead of to feed our own hunger. To put it simply, if any of us in this room, not to mention our awesome scholars in the front, are to achieve those goals and dreams that whisper to us throughout our days, we have to do the following. Be vulnerable, be kind, be intentional, be confident, and live out our truth. If anything, my undergrad journey has taught me that by upholding these objectives, one can beat the odds, one can live toward being who they want to be. To our scholars, I want to point out today that the foundation is investing in you. They're investing in your potential to be Black professionals that we all know you can be. I challenge you to uphold those previously discussed objectives, put them into practice, and reach out to your support systems when you have an obstacle in front of you. I challenge you to uphold these values and to evaluate patterns that do and don't serve you, so that we can make our supporters proud and we can realize our utter potential. Lastly, we must all make the effort to pay it forward for the students who come after us, just as the foundation is doing for us today. I thank the WFC Junior Foundation Scholarship for allowing me to speak to everyone today, and I ask once again that we give a hand to the scholars being honored.